Hey everyone, it's Raz here again, and this is part 2 of my two-part series of what it was like to start playing World of Warcraft as a new player in recent years. Like last time, we're going to be playing RuneScape again. It's something that I can kind of do in the background while I talk, and I don't really have to focus on too much. And again, RuneScape is what I grew up on. It's what I started playing way back in the day, unlike seems like 99% of WoW players, as I mentioned in my last video, have been playing for a really long time, and I just don't fit in with that crowd, and I just have a very different perspective on the game. So we are doing this two-part series. So I'm going to be doing some smithing while we do this, because I need to work on my smithing. So, if you haven't watched the first video, I recommend that you do so. I'm going to turn down that a little bit. If you haven't watched the first video, I recommend you do so, but just a quick recap. I first started playing World of Warcraft in 2020. It was a bit of a rough start, but I eventually got into the swing of things, and overall, I don't regret that I started to play WoW. But the story doesn't really end there. A lot of things happened in my first year of playing World of Warcraft. It's still very relevant because I was still very much a brand new player who didn't really know a whole lot. I had achieved AOTC thanks to the guild that I was with, but a lot started to happen after then. I ended up having to change guilds twice within my first year of playing World of Warcraft. So here we go. Where I left off from last video, I had just gotten AOTC in the last week that you were able to get AOTC, and I was feeling really good about myself. I was honestly just looking forward to the next best thing, and we all knew that Shadowlands was coming out, so I was pretty looking forward to Shadowlands. I had never experienced a new expansion in World of Warcraft yet, so I didn't know what the experience was like, experiencing a brand new expansion. Shadowlands rolls around sometime later that fall. I can't remember exactly when, and I'm still with the same guild that I was in. And this is where things kind of started to go downhill. Shadowlands launched, I started playing it, I was having fun, and I genuinely did have a lot of fun on the Shadowlands launch. I know a lot of people kind of shit on it, but keep in mind I have no frame of reference. A lot of World of Warcraft players have this huge frame of reference for when an expansion launches or what a beginning of an expansion feels like. I didn't have that. So for me, I thought it was cool, I thought it was interesting, I was having fun. I did think the mod did suck a little bit, but in my head it's like, oh, this makes sense, this is like hell, this is a horrible place, it should suck. So that was kind of how I felt first going into it. I loved Torghast at first. I thought it was a lot of fun. So we're going through, we're gearing up, we're doing the thing, and the first weekend, or week, it wasn't, I don't remember what days this guild raided. I think it was like one weekend day and one weekday. First day of raid rolls around. We signed up on the calendar and everything, the in-game calendar, as usual. And comes time to raid. My partner and I are just running around in the world waiting for our invite, and no invite goes out. And so we're asking so we joined Discord. We start asking guild chat, hey, can we get an invite? Nothing happens. And so we're just kind of like, maybe they didn't see in guild chat that we had typed it. So we start saying in disc chat, like verbally asking for an invite. And we never got one. And I still don't know why. And this happened more than once in a row. I think after like the second or third night of us basically begging to join raid, after we had raided with this guild and gotten AOTC and Nyalotha with them, and I thought that we were cool. We really thought that these people were our friends. When invites for raids weren't going out for us, we just made the decision to leave the guild. It hurt. It really did hurt. Because if you watched my last video, you know that these people were incredibly kind and patient with me as I learned how to play WoW. I really did work hard to improve. They really helped guide me through that process. And I have very mixed feelings about this guild now because they had made my experience as a new player so welcoming and so fantastic, and I felt almost betrayed in a way. That, oh, now that you're into the game and now that you're here, you can't raid with us? I don't really know. So it turns out, in the weeks that followed, my partner and I were the first domino to fall for that guild. Slowly, people started to get kicked out of that guild. People that we were friends with. It just started happening one by one by one. Is these people just started to get kicked out of this guild. The guild leader, I had really liked him. I thought he was a really cool guy. I thought he was really funny. I thought he was really nice. He was extremely helpful in helping us to get to know the game. But one by one, he started to kick all these people from the guild. And all these people that got kicked out, we all started talking again. We got into one of the person's Discord, so we'll just call this person Lauren. So Lauren invited us all, basically exiles, to her Discord, and she was actually still in the guild at the time. And she noticed all of these people leaving and all of these people getting kicked out, and being the extremely nice person she is, I think she felt bad or something like that, so she invited us to join her Discord, which we did. Eventually, the guild fell apart. The guild leader ended up kicking the main tank because he couldn't get his IO score higher than the tanks. So that just kind of, he started to really show his true colors. So eventually, Lauren leaves the guild for some really, actually, like, some kind of bad things happened to her in the way that she was treated in that guild. I don't really want to say what happened because it's extremely personal, and really kind of that's her story to tell. So she ends up leaving, and all of us exiles, we end up forming our own guild. And it was just supposed to be a casual guild. We were just gonna kind of hang out and do whatever and not really take things too seriously, which we did, and I had a lot of fun with this guild. But eventually, I started to want to get more into endgame content. I was hoping to start raiding again, and this Splinter group, we were not big enough to raid. It was only a group of, I want to say, about 7 of us. And we did find out that eventually that old guild did end up completely, like, disbanding. Like, the guild does not exist anymore. So yeah, that guild ended up completely falling apart. I'm in this Splinter guild, and I decide I kind of want to start getting into more endgame content. I want to start raiding again. So my partner, he had a real-life friend who also played World of Warcraft and who was in a guild. And so we decide to join this other guild. And I ended up creating a new character for this guild because I still wanted to play with this old group of people, with Lauren and her group, this Splinter group. So I ended up creating a new character, and I had to anyways because this guild was Alliance. And oh, hello. She has joined us for the second video as well, Katniss. If you watched my last video, she made an appearance. So anyway, I create this new character I create an Alliance character. I wanted to still play Warlock. I still wanted to play Demonology Warlock. And so I created a Void Elf Warlock to join this new guild so that I could play with both guilds. So I start raiding with this guild, and this guild is actually pretty awesome. This guild I have no beef with. I did eventually leave them, and I'll get to why. But yeah, this was a really amazing guild. They were actually a Mythic raiding guild. I didn't raid Mythic with them, but they did have a Mythic team that they raided with every week. And then they also had, like, the Heroic team. So they were doing both Heroic and Mythic, and so I was joining the Heroic raids. And I was also doing Mythic Plus still with my partner and Dave, and we were still doing our Mythics together. But we never really were able to break the Mythic 10. Like, we were never really able to break past that. this guild, despite being really awesome and I really enjoyed my time with them, they didn't really try to organize mythic key groups. It really seemed like their mythic raiding team was just that, and they all did all of their things together, and then anybody that was on just the heroic team was kind of left to their own devices. That kind of created these two groups. It was the mythic group and the heroic group, and I was of course part of the heroic group. I had no interest in raiding mythic, nor was I even really good enough to raid mythic. Like, let's be real, so I was getting a lot better. I was no longer like super low DPS. I was starting to watch, boss guides. I was really getting to intimately know how to play Demonology Warlock. So yeah, I was having a good time raiding with this guild. However, I was not enjoying Mythic Plus at all. And that's important to note because now my preferred content is Mythic Plus, and I'll get into that later. But I was not enjoying Mythic Plus because we were having to pug everything. I was having to like run my own keys. We were having to pug into stuff, and even though I had 2 other people to play with, it was still very hard. When you're pugging, it's really hard to kind of break past that at the time. Like the mythic difficulties are completely different nowadays. Couldn't really get into the level 15 zone, and level 15 is Keystone Master zone. So you'd pretty much have to do 15s to get Keystone Master. I wasn't interested, honestly. Like at the time, Keystone Master seemed like this wild, crazy achievement that I was like, holy crap, you have to be super hardcore and super good to get Keystone Master. And it's really funny how I view that now. And then I just kind of stopped playing Shadowlands by the time the second patch came out. Because at that point, after I got AOTC with this other guild, which was a way more positive experience than even the previous guild. After I got AOTC, me and my partner and Dave, we all just kind of quit. Because, as you all know, like, Shadowlands wasn't the best. And we were really feeling like progression was really difficult. Getting gear in Shadowlands was very hard, and I ended up doing a lot of PvP to get gear, which PvP as a warlock is actually like a lot of fun, but I ended up having to do a lot of PvP in order to gear up. And it was just, I don't know. And then Torghast as a warlock was some of the most fun I've had in WoW. Because if you ever played Demonology Warlock in Torghast, you knew that you could, if you got the right abilities, your Felguard could solo the whole dang dungeon for you, and it was freaking awesome. But anyway, so yeah, we kind of started to feel the Shadowlands slump after we got AOTC, and so we just kind of quit. And I didn't come back until Season 3 of Shadowlands. And when I came back, it was midway through Season 3's when I decided to come back, and the reason why I decided to come back was I actually happened to stumble upon the Race to World First, which I had never seen before, and I didn't even know that was a thing. Stumbled upon it, and it got me the itch to play WoW again. But I could no longer raid with this guild that I was in. Again, these people they were really good at the game. They had kind of that clickiness going on, but overall it was a much more positive experience and not toxic like the first guild I was in. So I ended up joining the guild that I am in now. And the reason why I joined the guild I am in now, there was one main reason, and it was because they raid on weekends. At this point, by Season 3 of Shadowlands, the pandemic was really starting to wind down and things were opening up. And I was just too busy on the weekdays to raid anymore. The previous guild I was in raided on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I was busy every single Monday and Wednesday evening, so I just couldn't do that. Just the way that my real life stuff and all my other hobbies were working out, weekends was the only time that I could raid. So I joined this guild. The guild that I joined back in Season 3 of Shadowlands is the guild I'm in today. Love them to death. And now here's the part about why it is relevant that I make this second part of this video, starting WoW as a new player. So this guild that I am in today, every season that I've raided with them, we've gotten AOTC. I did take a break in Dragonflight, second patch of Dragonflight, because I got a new job and my whole life changed. So I ended up taking another break from WoW during season 2 of Dragonflight just because of my new job. So yeah, my whole life changed and I had to like change everything around, so I had to focus on that. So, but the guild that I am in today have really truly given me my love for WoW. I think if it was not for this guild that I'm in today, I don't know if I would still be playing WoW. Really, honestly, because they are truly the ones who helped me become a better player, I got my first Keystone Master with them, which I never in a million years dreamed. Like, when I first started playing World of Warcraft, keep in mind, I didn't even know what a Keystone Dungeon was. No clue. Like, I didn't even know what a Keystone Dungeon was, and that was such a huge accomplishment for me. And the thing is, it wasn't hard, is the wild thing. I used to think that Keystone Dungeons were so difficult and so painful and just this terrible experience. And when you're pugging, yeah, it is. They are really hard when you have to pug all of the time. But this guild dedicates people to running keys, and they always make sure that everybody has a place, which is amazing. And so I got my first Keystone Master with them, and then eventually I went on to get Keystone Hero. And again, it wasn't this crazy, hard, difficult experience. It really wasn't. I genuinely had a good time doing it. There is one important thing that I didn't touch on that has a lot to do with me being a new player. So I talked a lot about in my first video about how when I first started playing, I was a Demonology Warlock. Demonology/Destruction. Normally, typically, that's not what people recommend as like a first-time brand new player, because Demonology has a really intense rotation. It's a caster class. Like, it's just not the most beginner-friendly class. I can play it nowadays. I just don't main it. It's an alt for me. It was after Season 1 of Shadowlands, and I just decided that it was time for me to make a change. I decided that I was going to switch mains. I was tired of playing Warlock. I didn't like being a caster, and just being fairly new to the game and trying to make this really intense rotation work when you haven't been playing for very long at all and this is all brand new to you, it was just very overwhelming. After getting AOTC in Season 1 of Shadowlands and taking my break, when I made my return in Season 3, I decided that I was going to switch classes. So for a while, even back in BFA, I had been playing Demon Hunter as an alt. Really thought that Demon Hunter, I thought the aesthetic was really cool. And when I first played Demon Hunter, when I first played through the Demon Hunter like opening campaign, opening scenario, I was like, this is like the coolest melee class ever. Like, I am not a melee person, really, at all. When my main in Lord of the Rings Online is a hunter, I've always been a fan of ranged classes. I like to stay far away and kill stuff before it gets too close to me. Always been a ranged person. So for me, a melee class is not something that I ever saw myself playing, but there was just something about Demon Hunter that really clicked with me. And Demon Hunter, as we all know, especially back in the days of Shadowlands, had the easiest rotation on the planet. Like, it was literally a 4-button rotation pretty much, and you didn't really have to think. I finally saw myself, like in Season 3, I switched to Demon Hunter, and I finally was having fun. Not that I wasn't having fun before. Warlock is hard, and I did feel like even though I was having fun in raids and Mythic Plus, most of the fun I was having was just because of the people I was with. The whole time that I was trying to play and do this rotation, I really just struggled the whole time, and I was getting really frustrated with any time that I would have to move out of a mechanic and suddenly my whole rotation was messed up. It was just extremely frustrating for me. So to switch to this class who it's like I could literally just apply face to my MMO mouse and win, that it was a huge difference. And I also loved the mobility. There was just so much about Demon Hunter that clicked with me. So yeah, I started playing Demon Hunter. It is the class that I still play today, and I do not think I will ever change. Having tried many different classes now, Demon Hunter is always going to be just what I play now. And I think part of that reason is because it's easier. I love Demon Hunter so much that I don't really ever see myself changing from that. It really is like the class fantasy, the visuals, the whole idea behind the class is just so intriguing to me, and I just love the mobility. I love the way it plays. I love the way it feels. I just love everything about it. I'm extremely married to this class. So me nowadays is getting Keystone Master, Keystone Hero. Zero plans to ever Mythic Raid or really do anything beyond Keystone Hero. I like where I'm at. I don't really want to do much else. Do I do PvP? Yes, I do very casual PvP, regular battlegrounds. I don't do anything rated. I just don't prefer PvP. It's just not really my thing. This ended up being a lot shorter, but that is my part 2 of starting WoW off as a new player. So yeah, a lot happened in my first year of playing World of Warcraft, and it really kind of shaped who I am as a player today and why I play the class I do and why I do the things I do. So thanks again for watching, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.